Greetings Earthlings and welcome to Planet Sync. In each episode we invite a musician from planet Earth. Our intention is to gain information about the world of sync, as we are setting up our own advertising agency. This week's guest is...
Hey, this is Cragmire from the Bloody Jug Band, resident washboard player and lead vocalist.
Thank you Cragmire, great to have you. I'm a fan of the Bloody Jug Band, loving that swamp rock sound.
Thanks for having me, great to be here.
Hello and thank you for joining us on Planet Sync. So, we asked you to bring a few of your favorite things. What book is that?
I brought a few comic books with me. Comic books are great when I've only got a couple minutes to pick up or put down. And, it's been many, many years since I've read a traditional novel or book, just by not having time. But I have felt blessed that I was able to get turned on to audiobooks a few years back. And it's given me the ability to, keep everything on my phone. The audiobooks take up no physical space, which is great when traveling. And, there's been so many great, writers that I've been able to get turned on to that I would have never had exposure to if I had to sit down and actually read them. I mean, we can read while on tour on the bus. I can do it while before bed, doing yard work. Right now I'm actually listening to Who I Am, an autobiography of Pete Townsend, which is actually narrated by Pete Townsend, and that has been really great to hear it from his own perspective.
Pete Townsend is a fantastic six-string man. I love that windmill thing he does with his guitar, and he's a very good amp trasher. My Generation is a big favorite of mine. Let me sing you a bit.
Why don't you all just fade away?
What gadget is that?
That's a beard trimmer. I can't tell you when the last time I used it was, but I always keep it on hand in case I lose a bet.
Beard trimmer, an obsolete gadget up here in space. Hair is so last season. What band t-shirt is that?
I've got a shirt from Doc Ellis Orchestra. Our rhythm guitar player, Death Ray, he has another band called Doc Ellis Orchestra, and since I always feel like you have to be an asshole to wear your own band shirt, I keep a DEO shirt with me to kind of spread the vibe and keep it close to the family.
Asshole, tell that to Jagger. What drink is that?
At any given time, I have at least a liter of Kraken Black with me, Kraken Black rum, and a few caffeine-free classic Cokes, because you never know when you need a tasty beverage. It's really my lullaby every night is my rum and Cokes, and I like to keep it as close as hand as possible.
Tasty lullaby Cragmire. What CD is that?
I've actually got my own compilation, greatest hits compilation, or let's just say my favorite tracks compilation of songs from the band that I threw together. It was a lot easier to consolidate so many CDs, but I have started to work my way through their back catalog. Realized there was a lot of things that I wasn't familiar with from their catalog, and so I started going through every CD and picking out those gems. I could listen to The Weight another million times in my life, but there was a lot of other songs that were these sleeper hits that maybe weren't on my radar. They didn't perform on the last waltz or what have you. So having kind of my own hybrid, let's call it greatest hit CD, burning myself before I go out on the road is really, really great to have.
Great selection. I love the band. The band. I could listen to The Night They Drove Dixie Down another millions times. That Levenhelm is a favorite tub thumper of mine. What is the best TV commercial ever?
But I'd say overall, I think, some of the GEICO commercials are ones that I remember the most. Even though they haven't worked because I don't use GEICO as a auto insurer, it is great that, some of their quirky ones have been really great, and stick out in my mind. There's one series they did recently where they've got, a guy's about to get in the elevator and then you miss that in-between story, and then they get off the elevator and you kind of have to fill in what happened. There's another one with a bear that's very similar, and that kind of vibe is cool. We try to do that as a band. I try to do that in many different formats of my life, my creative outlets, to leave something for the audience to think about, to fill in the gaps, and I thought that was kind of a fun, whimsical way to do it on a TV commercial.
What's your favorite TV show theme tune?
My favorite TV theme music, probably, just because I've been watching it so much with my son Bodie, he's 4.5, probably Scooby Doo, the original series of Scooby Doo theme music. Scooby Doo meant so much to me as a child. It also helped pave the way for very much a lot of the subject matter and the kind of campy underbelly of what we do with the Bloody Jug Band. And so that Scooby Doo original, because they changed the theme music several times, and now it's not even close. But that original Scooby Doo Where Are You theme music, it sticks with me. I could sing it to you right now, and I know the fact that my son also enjoys it and he can sing it to me at such a young age is really, really great.
And I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
What's your favorite film soundtrack?
Now, favorite film soundtrack is tough for me simply because I went to college for cinema studies and film. I spent many years as an independent filmmaker before I ever started the band and got, full bore into music. I would have to say, even though I probably lean a little bit more towards several of the Quentin Tarantino movies, I think he always had great choices for his soundtracks. I also think Forrest Gump soundtrack comes to mind as one of my favorites. But I'm going to go all the way back to one of the first CDs I ever owned, and the first soundtrack that I was ever given to me. My parents got it for me for Christmas, and it was the Wayne's World soundtrack. I was young enough that Queen, Alice Cooper, Jimi Hendrix, a lot of these artists that were on that soundtrack were not on my radar. It was the first time I was ever exposed to Bohemian Rhapsody, first time exposed to Alice Cooper, and I've fallen in love with Alice Cooper and so many different bands. It really was a film for budding musicians and nerds and this and that, and that's really the headspace that I was in at that age. And so maybe it wasn't the best, but as far as my favorite film soundtrack, it was the first I'd ever bought, and because it inspired so many different artists, exposed me to so many different artists that I followed till this day. I'm going to go with the original Wayne's World film soundtrack.
We're not worthy, we're not worthy. My favorite quote from that movie is, "No stairway. Denied." What's the best music in a video game?
The best music in video game is a great question because, especially for me, because I don't play any modern video games, but I am a heck of a collector and a retro gamer. I love the nostalgia of going back and reconnecting with games that I either played as a kid or wanted to play as a kid. So I exclusively, at this era of my life, if I'm not playing a tablet game with my kid, I'm playing an old NES or Super NES video game. And I think that, the classic Marios probably are burned into my head the most. I think Mega Man has a great soundtrack, and that was probably one of my top one or two. And maybe a sleeper hit that people don't think about from the music is a game called Marble Madness that had this extremely dark and brooding, very, very eclectic soundtrack or music for the video game. And it really just blows my mind with only 8-bit and what these composers had to deal with, how they were able to really bring out emotion and tension in the game. So I think Mario and Mega Man are up there, but on other sides of things like a Marble Madness or Kirby, some of those other games really have some sleeper hits that I think people should check out. I want to thank you guys for having me. The experience was really out of this world. You can find the Bloody Jug Band all over the interweb, all over social media. We're constantly releasing new content, and we really thank you for the opportunity and for the support.
Thank you, Cragmire. You have been a fantastic guest. I must run as I'm in the intergalactic cyber darts doubles final with my wife Moon Unit 180.